Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a pretty easy birthday card. And for this birthday card, I'm going to be doing some watercoloring and I'm going to be using some Stampin' Up! Ink pads. And these ink pads, in order to watercolor, you just squeeze them and the ink transfers to the lid and you can pick up color using a watercolor brush or an aqua brush. And I'm just going to take this aqua brush or watercolor brush and go back and forth from lightest to darkest to color the background of this watercolor paper. And this is where I'm going to place a butterfly that's the color is going to peek through a die cut section. And as you squeeze the brush, water comes out, and I just squeezed it just enough to make those colors blend together. Now, I didn't have to watercolor the entire background because I'm not going to be using the entire background. I just needed enough of it colored in for the part that's going to show through my die cut. Once the watercoloring was dry, I went over it with a Wink of Stella brush pen. And this is just so there's a little bit of glitter that pops through the front of the card once I attach the greeting and the die cuts. For the front panel of the card, I'm using a die set from Stampin' Up! And the coordinating stamp set that goes along with that die set. And I'm running it through my Big Shot, but before I do that, I'm going to take the time to make sure my die cut shape and my sentiment both fit before I run it through the machine. I'm actually going to be using the positive and the negative from the card front to create the card. I very carefully removed the die from the piece of cardstock so that I could go ahead and stamp my sentiment. And I'm using the MISTI stamp tool to stamp my sentiment just to make it easier to restamp if it's not clear, as well as position it so that I know it'll fit perfectly. So I went ahead and I aligned my stamp, and I'm just inking it up with a little bit of black VersaFine ink to stamp that sentiment down flat on the card. This particular stamp set comes with a greeting that could also be used for the inside of the card, so that's what I'm going to do here. It says happy birthday in a similar font to the same greeting that I used on the front of the card. So I've lined up my cardstock inside the MISTI tool and I'm inking it up with the same black VersaFine ink, and I'm going to stamp down the sentiment on the inside of the card. Here are all of my pieces that are ready for final assembly. I've die cut the same butterfly using vellum, and I'm just going to attach it to the white cardstock butterfly using liquid adhesive. And I'm only going to glue down the body so that the wings stay floating in the air when the card is open. Next, I'm going to attach the card front down to the watercolor piece, and I'm using Fast Fuse, which is a really strong adhesive. It's also known as Tombow Extreme, and I'm going to attach that down to my watercolor piece of paper. I'm also going to use that same strong adhesive to attach my card panel down to the actual card base. As you can see, I like to use quite a bit of adhesive on my projects. I'm always concerned that they're going to fall apart, even though they never do. But that might be because I use a ton of adhesive. But anyways, I'm going to attach that card panel down to the front portion of the card and finally attach my butterfly using liquid adhesive only in the center on the body portion. As the final embellishment, I decided to add a few pearl adhesive dots and a little bit of sequins. Unfortunately, these two products have been discontinued, but I will link to similar products in the description box down below. So here's a quick look at the final product. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.